Alright, hey everybody, another Thursday is here, and that means it's another episode of SEO Unmasked. Today is September 7th, 2017. We're on episode 6. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm Ben.
Steve Brownlee.
So this week, kind of a lot of small stuff, not a lot of huge big news, but I guess first off, over at the round table again, Barry is covering some interesting little articles about how some people still think that Google Plus Ones used to be a ranking signal, and I mean, back in the day the thought was it was easy for Google to use it as a ranking signal because it was so tied into their system and it would be easy, but obviously it's also very easy to manipulate that, just like any other social signal. I mean, yeah, we can say we can manipulate all SEO aspects quite a bit, but I mean, social signals are relatively easy to blast out 100,000 likes versus 100,000 links. They're a lot easier, I don't know. But
yeah, well, I think the main reason the quality difference is there between links and social signals and why we haven't seen Google switch across is because you think about the effort someone has to go to put a link in. Or even if you're a student at a college and you tweet something out versus actually going to the part of the university website you maintain and putting it on a links page on the university's like resources section for your department or whatever, the difference in effort is huge, and also the type of thing that gets linked to. You're not going to get a university linked to, the Kardashians or something, I think that the effort plus the fact that it tends to be used the way it was intended as a citation for something has a big impact on the quality, and that's why Google still continues to rely on it. I mean, if you look at the stuff people tweet out, it's 90% noise and 10% signal, and that's really tough. They struggle with links. I mean, obviously they've invested billions of dollars in analyzing links, and that's the signal to noise ratio is much easier to kind of see just from. You can make broad sweeping statements like every random underlying blog post is spam. The signal to noise ratio.
my bad.
I'm echoing somewhere.
I got it fixed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think it's signal to noise. But that story, it was interesting that some journalist was saying, I forget their name, I don't know if you've got it in the show notes, Garrett, but some journalist was saying that Google actually implied that if they didn't put plus ones on their website, they would be penalized.
Who said that?
It's some Google, I don't know if they name him or not, but Barry kind of quoted it saying the Google salespeople were encouraging companies like Forbes to add plus ones, social buttons, articles on the site alongside the Facebook and Reddit, blah, blah, blah. It was important to do so because it was a factor in search results and crucial source of traffic to publishers.
I mean, I think they wanted it to be a ranking factor, and they wanted authorship to work.
I mean, when you think about it in theory it makes sense. It's just applying it in a way that works is very difficult.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Social signals are effective. It's just how you apply them.
Yeah.
You got to, if you're going to be manipulating social signals, you have to do it in a way that seems natural. So if you post like a big guide on your blog or what have you, and then your blog gets flooded with, X percentage more social signals than, what is normal for your blog, then I think that's a good signal to the search engines that people are enjoying this new content, and that could signal a ranking change. But just, a pure number of Google plus ones or Facebook likes, I don't think that's going to do much of anything for you whatsoever.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it's good for your Facebook, though. So
Yeah. Well, these days you can't even get likes without really buying them. Because the reach is so throttled.
Yeah, which makes sense for them. They want you to pay. But I think Google just had an adoption problem. I think the data would have been useful to them. Like, I'm pretty sure Facebook could rank, to some extent, articles that are shared on Facebook by authority. I think they know who the real accounts are. I think Google hoped to get enough people using it that they would have that kind of data to be an enhancement to their algorithm. Because I'm pretty sure they could have used it if people had actually used Google Plus.
Right.
I mean, particularly authorship. I mean, like Vin's doing a lot of guest posting now and writing about content strategy. I think it would have been in the authorship days, you would have become an authority in content strategy, and then your posts, no matter where they were with your authorship on, Google would know automatically that.
Well, wasn't there a schema tag for the authorship? So you
There
could
was
add schema
schema,
tag.
yeah, and you had to link to Google Plus, so they were kind of using it to do things they tell us not to do.
I was all about when they first was pushing that schema stuff with Google Plus. I was all about that because.
Just jump on it in case it works, eh? I mean,
we'd be first adopters, and then we would have the age on the profile more than anybody else. But it just never caught on like most of Google's products do or don't.
Yeah, they've only really got to advertising in Gmail. Everything else has been a disaster, isn't it? So
yeah, for sure. Or they sold it. Do they sell anything off, or they just let it die?
They tend to let things die, don't they? They just announce it's axed one day and it's gone, isn't it? Like some of their previous social networks and stuff have just disappeared after a day or whatever.
I think there was one that I was talking about. Was it Google Wave?
Google Wave, that was it. Yeah, that really didn't go down well with people.
that was like supposed to be like Slack, right? It was like a threaded chat, but it was threaded in the actual live chat.
Threaded email chat,
channels. And
it confused a lot of people. Like some people used it and they were accidentally messaging like whole groups of people and stuff by mistake.
So some people were getting embarrassed by information that should not have been shared.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Is Google Talk still around, or did they cut that? I can't remember. I know we quit using it a few years ago.
Yeah, it still exists, but they removed it from because it was like a Java client originally. Now
it was standalone. Yeah,
I think they merged it. I think they merged it with the Google Plus. Like,
I see it in Gmail. It's like tied in there somehow. And
yeah.
I've never even heard of that.
I used to love it. It was cool. It was kind of just like using AOL Instant Messenger, really lightweight and worked great.
I stopped using it when they made it proprietary and like all your apps couldn't connect to it, because back when you still used messages, you had your MSN, you had your Google, you had your Yahoo, you had your AOL for talking to the old people that still used it. And then Google just kind of dropped off. You couldn't sign into it anymore. So then I just stopped using it because everyone who was new was on Skype.
Yeah.
So all my Google people I could just talk to on Skype instead. So I just let Google die, and I think Skype's kind of killed them for that.
Am I the old guy for just using Skype and not using Slack as my primary chat tool?
Well, Slack's if you've got like you want to talk to your team. If you don't want to talk to your team, then you don't have Slack. I mean, there's Slack groups that I'm in, like for business people getting together or whatever, and we're in one together. But like, it's only really if you want to talk to your team all the time, you have Slack in a business.
I've got a buddy that uses Discord. You ever use Discord? It's like it's like voice chat. I think a lot of gamers use it.
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's okay. I think at very best, in my opinion, it's an okay VoIP for gaming. Anything business related, it's a piece of shit. But I think it's a decent solution for gaming, and about it really.
So, but yeah, Google Plus ones don't do anything for ranking.
Yeah, and
but I think if you have time or resources to test, I think if you can time your social signals at the right time, right after you publish something, you could see an extra little bump in rankings, even if it's temporary.
It's hard to kind of break down, because if you're doing natural outreach and link building, like loads of our clients see random social signals around whenever we get them links, because obviously we're pitching real stories to people. It's kind of hard to do a test where you get just the social. Right. We pitch someone something and, I don't know, like half of them just tweet it out, and see that's no good to us and it's not what we're being paid for. But you can't tell what was just the links, what impact came from social, if any. Isolating them would be pretty tough, I think, to experiment. But I always think if you have a piece of content that blows up and gets 300 links and no social, and no comments on it and nothing else going on, if you ever do get a manual review, it's going to look suspicious to whoever looks at it. So regardless of the algorithm, you'd be wise to make content that's good enough that it gets shares and comments. Just and if you're not doing that, your site probably sucks as well. So like, just generally, you should want to make stuff that people like and share, because otherwise your stuff's probably pretty crap.
Yeah, I don't really see many like thin SEO sites much anymore. Where, you know, like back in the day, those 10-page sites that, you know, would rank in 2 weeks. But
well, they've all gone on to doing top 10 speaker articles now.
Yeah, the ones that Garrett takes.
But we won't get Garrett going again, because he'll smash up the mic.
His face is already turning red.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, I almost had a meltdown the other day. I forgot what I was looking for. Headphones. I want to get a new set of noise canceling headphones, and you know, I know Bose are really good, and Sennheisers, and I had heard someone talk about some Sonys that are at a much lower price point but comparable to the Bose. Just looking for a legit review, but no, got to go through like 3 pages of Google to actually find a review, and I should probably just look on YouTube. And
well, it's like when I was trying to decide which size of the Kindle to buy. All I wanted was someone who'd like got them and taken some pictures, so I could see like which one's going to fit in my jacket pocket and stuff. And they were all like, "Oh yeah, this one's got this spec. This one's got this spec. This one's got this spec. They're all pretty good. Buy one of them now. Here's my links." It's like, what use is this to me?
Yeah,
I'm none the further forward if I just looked at the pictures on Amazon's website.
Gary, check out this link I'm sending you. You can't say where it's from though, live on the air, because it's one of our subscribers. But you'll like this. If I can get it Skype here. That's how you do a top 10 review.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That's for you later. Anyway, yeah, I think Google is even getting wise to those review articles. I'm noticing that's a little more difficult.
It's going to be like, what did they used to penalize? Like, there used to be, like, I don't know, was it 4 years ago, they just totally wiped out.
Anything that was a thin affiliate site, they penalized back in the day, didn't they? What, 3 years ago or whatever?
Yeah. But there was, like, one big category of them that, like, if you did, I can't think of an example, but yeah, like, if you do a top 10, it's just, like, instantly you're wiped out. We're just sick of this shit.
Wait, is that not payday loans, right? Not that shit.
No, there was an affiliate penalty. Well, I don't even know if it was a penalty update, but like loads of affiliates were moaning at the time that their thin pages of waffle. I think this whole authority site with lots of top 10 lists is just a new thing to try and wind Google up until they all get penalized.
Yeah, because originally, you know, the concept was good, because people were actually taking the time to get these companies to send them shit to review, and they would actually review it, and they'd have like a list. And I put on these headphones and I wore them, and they felt good on the ears and they sounded good, but these other ones are a little bit cheaper and they feel just as good, so I'd rather buy these. But now it's just make a big list, random order, buy these, here's a link, whatever. I won't get into it.
Mark from Authority Hacker just shared an article today. Apparently the FTC just came down on individual YouTube influencers for not disclosing affiliate relationships in their videos. So it's the first time that's ever been done.
So they have to like say it on the air that yes, they just, like, most of them they'll just put in the description like we may have received compensation.
Yeah, I think these two guys were really pushing the limits as far as what there was allowed, but it is a precedent where, you know, this is the first time the FTC is actually going after the individual influencer rather than, I guess, you know, the platform or, you know.
Yeah, because there was a brand that got done. One of the games.
It was two gamer guys. It was Call of Duty Lotto or something like that, and these guys were both promoting it and not disclosing anything, and they were making like 50 grand as far as like payouts from the company, and the FTC just like came down on them hard. So that they're still in operation, but I think that the disclosures are going to be a lot more, I guess, annoying for the influencer, but you know, transparent.
I don't
for
know.
the
It's kind of easy. I mean, the FTC rules are pretty straightforward. I mean, they just have to say, "Oh, yeah, we got a paid copy of this game, and we get money for doing these reviews," and then crack on with it. It's really
it's
not
not even
hard
like
to
a big
comply.
deal to say it, because
No.
if you're doing a good review, no one's gonna care. Like, I don't care if someone got paid to do the review. It's whether or not it's good and well put together. And
Well, no, a lot
Yeah.
of them aren't even doing a review; they're just playing the game. Like
Right.
when PewDiePie used to get paid, and he was still doing all the games and stuff. All he did was say, "Oh yeah, they paid me to play this game for a bit," and then just played the game for 6 hours on different episodes. It's like you just get to see someone play the game. You get to see a good gamer play the game. You decide if that looks like your cup of tea or not. It doesn't really.
I think
Doing it right's easy.
I think if you're charismatic enough and entertaining enough to generate a $50,000 advertising payment,
yeah,
then you're probably smart enough to work in that disclosure in a way that doesn't
right.
kill your sales or
Yeah.
what have you.
Or you can just do like H3H3 Productions and make all of their sponsors look like whatever they've sent them's total crap every week, and like they open that box like just so not excited to see what's inside. Oh yeah, I always wanted this T-shirt over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, moving
I'm working
on.
on something.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gary. No,
Uh,
sorry.
All right, you sure?
Just tangential. Go ahead.
Last week, or I guess it wasn't last week, it was a couple days ago, up on Tuesday, Barry had covered some stuff about Gary Isles talking about, we ignore a lot of the links in your backlink profile, and we were kind of talking about it before the show. It's something people know that links are just straight up ignored now. I mean, used to you could get penalties on links, but that could destroy your site, so now they just ignore your links. And I think Gary's kind of taking it a step further in his comments, saying even if it's not a bad link, we might not even be valuing it at all, and you're never going to know which links are critical, and you shouldn't be doing link building anyways, blah, blah, blah. But I think you guys are having a conversation if you want to go over that again quick.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed a couple of shakeups in the SERPs over the past couple of weeks, and it kind of mirrors those comments where, you have all these links, and then all of a sudden there's a shakeup, and then you drop back like 15 spots for the main keyword. And a couple of years ago they were calling this link devaluation, and now it's just like, I think it's everyday practice where, every once in a while Google's gonna take a look at your link profile and decide, what links should count and what shouldn't, and then they're just gonna mark those ones that shouldn't as, cut the link juice off, so to speak. And then you drop back 15 spots, and then you just gotta crank out more links to get back to where you were.
Mm-hmm.
As far as them saying, you'll never know which ones count and which doesn't count, I think that's just a bit of fear mongering, just to put you off their game. But it does happen. I think it's just a 3 steps forward, 1 step back type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a pretty good educated guess about what's important. I mean, Garrett talks endlessly about relevance, and I think that's the most important thing. Like, if you've got a piece of content about, I don't know, speakers, and you pitch it to general news sites and sneak a link in about speakers, randomly in news stories and stuff, it's kind of easy to tell that that's not the most powerful link, or that it isn't really much to do with the story. Whereas if you get coverage from a site that covers like tech gadgets for kids, and the article is a really good piece about speakers for kids, and it links to your article about speakers for kids, it's more like a real citation. It's someone who's sharing something you've done, and it works with what they normally cover. It works within the body of work they've already got in terms of topical authority. You can really work out, where a good place to be is for your content. And it makes sense for Google to be trying to do the same kind of things, because they want to count votes from experts and votes from the right people, not just random votes from all over the place. It's like in science. It's not, citations aren't a democracy. A random engineer quotes quantum mechanics paper in some other paper.
Right.
That's less important than one of their actual peers in quantum mechanics citing them. And that's the whole model that Google was trying to create originally with PageRank.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes sense that they're constantly refining that. But I think people panic too much about Flux.
Yeah.
If they thought back to before the penalty era, where the penalty era has kind of spoiled us, because Google made like no changes for a year and then threw a penalty out, and then you adapted to it. Before all this penalty stuff happened, rankings were all over the place, and people just plodded along, kept promoting their sites, kept doing good work, putting out their content, and didn't panic every time there was a change. Now, every time there's a change, people are frantically scouring the forums. They're on Barry's site, Search Engine Roundtable, trying to see if there's been a penalty. Everything isn't a penalty. Google just changes shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
4 billion signals or whatever, and people panic now. Oh, it must be a penalty. Something's going on. What's happening? Let me stop everything I'm doing and reevaluate. It's a daily thing now. We're just back to the old days where Flux happened all the time. Google's done their major updates that they had in the pipeline. They've got their content stuff sorted out, and that's rolling. They've got Penguin sorted out, and that's rolling. They're working on their AI to understand queries better, and now that's rolling. So the updates now are going to be not some brand new penalty until they figure something else random out and do it. It's just updates all the time now. You just have to get used to Flux and keep trying to do good work and not panic all the time, and stop wasting 3 hours on forums every time there's a slight update.
I actually prefer the new real-time updates compared to the old yearly updates, because you could be spinning your wheels for a year and then have it completely wiped out in one update, whereas now I can kind of figure out within like 6 to 8 weeks what happened and readjust and have so it's as opposed to a year down the drain, it might be 2 months tops. And then
when you had clients come to you and say, we need to do a penalty recovery, and they had that long, whatever it was, 14 months between Penguin updates. They were stuck. There was nothing you could do for 14 months. You could, they could keep promoting their site and they would gradually go up from where they were. But until that update came, all that disavowing, getting links removed, all that stuff just didn't really do much, because it wasn't refreshed. They didn't know what to do, I guess. Now it's rolling. If someone makes a mistake and hires a bad SEO, they're not out of business for 14 months anymore. They can get someone in to fix it, which I think is huge, and I think it's the only fair thing to do from Google's point of view, because you can blame these business owners and say, oh, they were greedy, they knew they were hiring a cheap SEO, but some of these people don't even know how to use a mouse.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to them. If you're out, every day grinding a real manual job, running a business, learning about Google isn't something you can realistically do. And you trust a professional. It's not fair that they can wipe you out for 14 months. Someone has to be able to come in and help you get back on track.
And they're also the ones that have pushed, the giant sites on, comprehensive content on a specific topic. So if you're going to put in all this work to create, 500-page site or what have you, it's kind of fucked up if they just go wipe it out, on the other end, because you didn't follow some kind of link, guidelines. So being able to adjust and not have to wait the 14 months and just, maybe 2 months, that's a slap on the wrist. But in the scheme of things, that's the more fair way to do it.
It definitely is, yeah. It definitely is, and it's good to see a lot more awareness, though, with small business owners around SEO generally. I think that's one thing that the penalties did us all a favor on. It kind of woke a lot of business owners up. Everyone's heard of someone with a penalty now. Not everyone, but a lot more than used to. So a lot of the more shady people are now social media marketers and stuff instead of SEOs. Also, not that all social media marketers are bad, but some of the new additions to their ranks that used to be SEOs are they're the bad apples sticking around as usual.
I got to get into social media more. I'm so worried about organic traffic that I kind of leave social media to the wayside. But yeah, I have seen some shady shit.
Want to hear a funny story, Ben?
Sure.
Yeah.
So a year ago, we hired some sales guy to paid him like $500, and he was supposed to get us like $10,000 in revenue or something for it. And a couple months go by, he's just been making excuses, blah blah blah, and he finally just disappears. We're like, whatever, $500, walk away from it, write it off, done. And I haven't really thought about it much since. For a while, I was going around Reddit and I would stalk him, and every time he'd make a comment, I'd be like, "You gonna refund that money?" And like, I just, whatever. But it's been a while since I even thought about it. But this morning, wake up, get on my computer, and I have this new message on Skype. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's a group of like 200 people. I'm like, I don't remember joining a group of 200 people on Skype. And read it, and it's this guy out of nowhere, and it's this message like, "Hey boys, I'm back in town. Who's ready to make some fucking money? I don't have a contract for the next 48 hours. I am a sales guru. I have 1 million people in my database. Let's do this." And some people like immediately leave, and some people are like, "Oh, what is this?" And I'm just like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And no one says anything, and then I'm like, "So you want more work for us after you stole $500? And some guy's like, "Yeah, you stole $500 from me too." And some other guy is like, "Yeah, you ripped me off for $200. When are you going to refund me?" And some other people are like, "Is this guy legit?" And then I just went off. I'm like, "No, this asshole stole money from me, and he stole money from that guy, and that guy, and that guy." And more people just start coming in like, "Yeah, you ripped me off too." And like, how dumb does this guy have to be to send out this mass message? Like, obviously he was smart enough to take Steve off the list, because we had conversations, the three of us, on Skype, but he must have forgot I was on the rip-off list.
Yeah, I mean,
so then,
sounds like
does
you'd have
this
a
all-
few of you boys
probably
on
does
that.
it all the time, man. That's crazy.
so yeah, and then all of a sudden I got people just blowing me up on Skype like, "Oh man, thank you for telling me that guy ripped you off. I was just about to send him $500." And I'm like, "Well, good thing you didn't." And
I've got burnt a couple times. I think that, back in the day when all those editorials were first starting and people were spending like, $500 per link for like a Forbes link or Huffington Post. I got burnt like $200 on one of those from some Chinese kid that he spoke perfect English until I started like being like, where's my link? Like I just gave you. And then he like started in with like the broken English. So there must have been like two guys on the same handle, like going back and forth, like the salesman and then like the brains behind it. But I haven't really got burnt that too much. I kind of even if I did, it's $200 in the scheme of things, not the biggest deal.
no, and it was just really funny to me because he went into full panic mode, and on Skype it tells you when other people are typing, so you would see such and such like pounding out a message and then deleting it, and then someone else would say something, and then there he goes again, pounding out a message, and then I started getting really mean. I'm like, you fucking piece of shit. I hope you eat sawdust for the rest of your life. And like, then he starts deleting people out of the conversations, and then he finally deletes me. But I don't know. A few of us, we went public. I screenshotted everything and put it on the Facebook groups. Like, don't buy from this guy. And
I've seen horror stories on forums, man. Like people getting taken for like, 5 figures, like high 5 figures. Offering a service thread for like a magic deal or whatever, and then everybody that was duped, they start screaming at like the message board owner or the Facebook group owner because they were dumb enough to to fall for a too good to be true scam. So I mean, in the scheme of things, SEO is content and links and good code. And as long as you're sticking to those three, I think you won't get scammed. But if you're looking for your magic pill, you're gonna get ripped off sooner or later.
Yeah, and this guy, he finally had the balls to message me. He's like, "How much do I owe you?" I'm like, $500. He's like, "What's your PayPal?" I'm like, "Shit, maybe he's actually gonna send me the money right now." So I gave him it, and he's like, "I'll try to get you that as soon as I can, man." I'm like, "I'm not gonna hold my breath." And he's like, "Well, that's your own decision." I'm like, "What the fuck is that even supposed to mean?" Like, I know you're never gonna send me the money. Don't even try to save face. Like, this is over.
But
yeah, I mean, like it's one of those things. I mean, we were just kind of thinking one day, you know, we do, because you know we just get all of our business from online, so we were like, well, we should try some of this not online stuff.
Yeah,
and
why not? It's $500. Like,
yeah.
if he would have tried and failed, who
You're paying
cares?
$500 for social media advertising. Is that what it was?
No, he's just a regular old sales guy. I mean, they had, you know, like all good scammers, you know, they had a good setup, you know, proper website, proper reviews, people that would tell you how great they were. He wasn't asking for much money, so you don't think too hard about it. Like,
it was just enough where he could
$5,000.
make money for it, but it was also not enough for people to get super outrageously pissed and litigate him or whatever. But
I know a guy. This is not a scammer, but this guy's actually he's doing legitimate sales through Twitter's DM system.
really,
And it's more of, he uses a tool. I think it's called Tweetsmap or Tweetmap or something like that. And it's got a DM feature, and he gets real creative with how he words his message. He's got like a really good conversion rate, and I think he gets like 40 conversions a month is his average through the DMs on Twitter. Or he's a social media guy too, so he sells his social media services.
mm-hmm.
But it's always cool to see how unique strategies for selling on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video about active selling on social, showing like for Twitter and forums and stuff, and I actually have done it before in your space, Ben, writing. I wrote a Twitter has a really cool API. You can get loads of data from it. I wrote a Twitter API tool that looked for people who were saying, "Oh, check out my new website."
Oh, you told about this.
Yeah. We wrote to each one just with a tip, and obviously the writing website was in our bio, so we didn't try and sell it or anything. You just like, oh, a really cool new site. You might want to add a bit of copy about this, or you might want to, and then like you send 50 of those a day, 2 or 3 of them ordered content. It was pretty cool.
That was his trick, and I think that's pretty much your approach to your outreach emails too. Is just writing a custom message rather than just a pre-written message or a canned message or what have you.
Yeah.
I know I'm not allowed to talk about him, but Gary Vaynerchuk does that on Instagram, because apparently now, like on Twitter, obviously you can @ anyone you want, but you can't direct message anyone you want unless they have that turned on. On Instagram, you can pretty much direct message anyone you want, he was saying. So like he just sends people, like a CEO he wants to work with who also likes football, he just like messages them about the Jets or whatever and have a chat with them, and then next time he's in town, be like, oh, let me buy you dinner, and we can chat about some more about what we were talking about.
The Giants and the Jets always have a preseason game where it's just they call it the Snoopy Bowl, and I think he goes every year. So I was trying to get there this year to look for him, but I missed that. I'll run into him one of these days.
Yeah, I don't think he misses a game. Him and his brother go to all of them, I think. Or pretty much. He's always like sharing pictures of himself, like going ballistic at the games. I guess they don't do too well, judging by his.
Oh no, they're bottom of the barrel. I really should read one of Gary's books one of these days. So.
Jab, 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 right hook, not the newest one. His Ask Gary V book was, for me, extremely boring. I'm sure some people got some value out of it. It was proper guru stuff. The new book, it's all like. Someone asks like, oh, how do I balance my family life with work, and he rambles on for a couple of pages. It's like, oh man, this is terrible. Jab, jab,
does he
jab,
even have
right
a family?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh.
What about? Did you read Crush It?
I didn't read Crush It. No, because we were trying to at the time Jab, jab, jab came out. We were trying to do a lot more Facebook advertising, and I don't even have a Facebook account, so like it was a good place to start for me to.
Yeah.
But it's really good. I mean, he has like case studies of all these big brand social campaigns. So it's just like a real case study based book. It's really short. You can power through it, but it's.
I like data backed information, so that sounds good.
Yeah, it's a good read. I mean, you'll soak it up in no time. Like you'll read that in an evening. You'll sit down for 4 hours or whatever and just suck it in.
Yeah,
it's really. Yeah.
Maybe I should get a tablet and read it, huh?
Yeah, I actually did read it on Kindle.
Yeah. Anyway. What we
Oh,
got
next
to
next
do?
on the list here, Steve found a site or something called Citizens Against Monopoly, and it looks like you can send a letter or something to tell Google to actually not be evil. And I don't know, Steve, what's this all about?
Right, so Gizmodo covered a think tank that Google, and we touched on it a little bit last week. Google funds this think tank quite a bit, and it was kind of a progressive left think tank. And part of the think tank turned on Google. So apparently the heads of Google wrote to them to say, I'm careful not to name anyone because there's lots of allegations from their side against Google and what they did. And you can look on Gizmodo for the full story because I'm sure they've got better lawyers than me to cover their asses if they get sued. But apparently Google had written to them saying they didn't like the content, and the whole team got fired. And this Citizens Against Monopoly is where they're continuing their good work or bad work, depending on which side of the debate you're on.
Well, it's
So,
certainly got a really nice design here.
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I mean, they. The censorship stuff's really important because people kind of think these think tanks and these studies and things that they see in the press are real, and quite often they're heavily, heavily funded by companies like Google who have a very obviously clear agenda. I mean, and you can't fault companies for doing it because you would do it.
Yeah.
Like when Google started, they were not lobbying anyone, and they were targeted quite heavily by Microsoft lobbying efforts to, like the whole thing in Europe. I mean, a lot of the problems they're having in Europe is on the back of Microsoft lobbying 10 years ago, where they wanted to make sure they weren't frozen out of search for obvious reasons.
Right.
They haven't done a very good job of not being frozen out of search, but lobbying was important for all companies, and mature companies like Microsoft had a efficient lobbying machine and efficient investing in think tanks and other things that big companies do. Google had none of it, and they're heavily doing it, but they're getting a lot of criticism because their original message and everything they talked about before was not being like these incumbent players who did all this stuff that people hated. They were going to not be evil. And maybe they have, or maybe they haven't managed to live up to their original "Don't Be Evil" stuff. But I just thought this will be an interesting think tank to follow to see what their eventual take on the story is once they've all calmed down and got some new funding. Because I don't think it's not going to be focused just on Google. They seem pretty angry with Google right now, but their work was quite broad originally about all the big monopolies that we're getting. I read a really interesting, like the big three, like it was Google, Amazon, and one other. I can't remember who the third one was. Their revenues have grown by something like 250 billion or something, and the rest of the Fortune 500 has gone down by 97 billion in revenue.
Wow.
So it's kind of, these monopolies are going to be extremely powerful if we don't change things. So I just thought that'd be an interesting one for people to keep an eye on because it's so relevant to our industry.
Yeah, I mean, as far as search goes, I definitely, absolutely say Google's a monopoly. Would you not?
Yeah, Google is a monopoly, really, in any practical sense in Western countries. I mean, in Britain, I think it's 91%, which is close to monopoly power by any reasonable, but not legally a monopoly.
Yeah.
Just kind of a reasonable man would feel like they had a monopoly, even though they don't legally have one by the kind of technical definition. Obviously, the European Union disagrees slightly with that and are fining them accordingly. So we'll see how Google's lawyers get on with that one. But I mean, in like Russia or China or whatever, they've got no monopoly at all. So you can understand Google's argument that, look, come on, boys, we're trying to fight an international market here. We can't have our hands tied in America when we're trying to fight to even get a market share in China. It's a world market now. We don't have a monopoly in the world. We're like 60% worldwide or something.
Let's say Google, in theory, does get tagged as a monopoly and they do have to spin it off into smaller companies. How would they do that for search? You can't, right?
Yeah, it would be a complete reversal of the direction they've been going because they've been buying, travel data aggregators so that they could build Google Flights. They're buying finance companies so they could do Google Finance stuff, and they tried a credit card thing at the top of search for a while, and their strategy's been the opposite of spinning anything out. So it would be quite a change of direction for search.
What's their parent company called? Like that was their whole idea behind changing to Alphabet, right? Yeah. So they could spin off divisions if they'd ever get too close to be calling them a monopoly. Yeah. But I don't think anybody's even tried that yet.
Well, I think it was just to make it easier for investors to see what the company was doing as well. It's more investable as Alphabet if you're an investor who's worried about their ridiculous side bets. You can see quite clearly in Alphabet that they are well managed budget-wise and they aren't bankrupting Google. Whereas when they didn't disclose how much, it was all on one, it was just like research, and you're like, well, how much of this is them just wasting money on self-driving cars? Yeah. Now you can see it's not very much. Like they spend a fortune on research on stuff they should be doing, advertising and search.
They didn't segregate that in their financials previous to Alphabet. It was all just mixed in.
Yeah, apparently it was pretty not clear. And a lot of the divisions weren't very well managed as like a separate division. There wasn't the main Google board was quite distracted with a lot of them, whereas now the whole point of Alphabet was there would be individual CEOs for different products, and they would report to the Google board rather than the Google board having.
It's just a big holding company.
Yeah, I think it was a smart play. I think it makes things more transparent. It makes it easier for them to manage. It makes someone accountable for delivering a product on some of these side projects, which might never have delivered a product otherwise if they were just constantly funded by Google until whenever. So I think Alphabet was a good thing. I mean, I think some of their side projects are pretty cool. It'd be awesome to see, especially the medical ones. Some of the AI medical stuff they're doing around treatments is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of fun to see some of that stuff become real. So. I don't think Google's evil at all, to be honest. I mean, I know we rib on them sometimes, but I think there's certain behaviors all the big tech companies have that need to be regulated as a whole. But to say Google's more evil and that if Bing had become the winner, they wouldn't be doing the same things. They would be doing less with the data than Google because Google was their thing to start with.
Yeah. I wouldn't say any giant company is evil. I just think it's innate to want to progress as far as you can possibly go. But eventually when you're, squashing small businesses because of your practices, then somebody's got to step in and regulate a little bit.
I think opportunities will come out of the regulation. I think that's why it's partly interesting as well. And I think SEOs and people should follow it, because if there is a breakdown, and even if it's just like shopping is going to change, if this case goes to completion, shopping is going to change in Europe, and suddenly you can get into those shopping results. I mean, there's talk that eBay will be in there, and for them, they've been struggling to get their shopping products, on the first page of Google all the time like they used to be. For them, it's going to be huge if suddenly they're going to be in the carousel at the top, and there's opportunities for in-house SEOs that are heading up big brands to suddenly have their shopping products are going to be up there as if it was an organic widget instead of a Google only widget, which is, it's going to really change things. I think you've got to be on top of if regulation is going to be an opportunity for your brand and your business, especially for anyone watching that's an in-house SEO at a big brand that could benefit from regulation. You should definitely be keeping an eye on it, and definitely be filling in this sending letters thing and stuff.
If anything pisses me off about Google, it's the new knowledge graph and the featured snippet shit, where in certain areas they're not even giving credit to the source material, and they're just copying and pasting it. And it's basically like, all right, well, let us use that, or we'll just de-index you, or just bury you in the search. Yeah. So it's like you're held hostage to allow. You're basically being held hostage to allow them to screw you over and take your traffic and take your conversions. So that pisses me off. But a company progressing as far as they can, I don't really get too worked about it until things like this start happening where you're starting to hurt the little guy that's, you know, busting his ass for 3 years just to make a living wage, and then you just take his content and pass it off as yours.
Yeah,
Especially,
that's the whole. I think that's the crux. I mean, I haven't read it all because it was pretty long, but I read some of the notes from the European Union's judgment, and the main kind of thing they seem to be railing against is the idea, just to put it in simple terms, of like a shop. Like if a big retailer goes around systematically building local shops where they don't normally have a market, just because like they decide, oh, we're going to do bikes now, we're going to put every bike shop out of business, so they start buying bikes, building shops, but they give them away at like $2,000 loss on every sale until everyone's out of business, and then they dominate the bike industry. That's the kind of anti-competitive measures that they're trying to protect consumers from, because the company's just using their money. Yeah, well, maybe it does. That's why I was saying I think all of the tech companies are going to need regulation to some extent, because money can just allow you, if you have the biggest revenue, you can just do whatever you want and keep making losses forever until everyone else is out of business. And that's, like you say, Amazon's game plan is to not make a lot of money until they're dominant, till where no one can come back.
What I think the problem is that the regulators themselves and the governments are so unsophisticated when it comes to this stuff that they don't even see the underlying issues, and their foresight into the problem is so limited that whatever regulations they come up with, there's going to be a loophole for said company to get around real quick. So it's going to be a very long process unless there's some kind of team that helps them out to understand what's really going on. Because, you know, you see it like, you know, even in the presidential election with the social media tweets and everything and emails, you know, if our top of our government can't figure out how to track emails, you know, there's little luck for us to try to get proper regulation in place.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, so next on the list, Steve found another cool or interesting little tidbit. With people buying domains and squatting on them for sometimes 16 years in this case, apparently eGrandstand.com sells glassware, and someone owns, the name of the company is Grandstand, that's what they're doing business as, and someone owns Grandstand.com. But unlike most people who squat, they usually have like buy this domain, and they'll have some ads on it, and they'll make some revenue off it while they wait to charge you an obscene amount of money to get your domain name. But in this case, someone just has it sitting there, they don't do anything with it, and I don't know, do you know the whole story behind it, Steve, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the opposite of normal. Like normally like the company would be, you know, like they're rebranding or something, and like people tried to make up names that were similar to Moz, just to kind of confuse people when Moz was rebranding from SEO Moz. It's kind of like the opposite, where someone with the kind of crappy version of the domain name, eGrandstand, is trying to say they should get the grandstand.com just because. It's kind of like reverse domain squatting. Like someone else has had, I mean, grandstand's just a word for a start. Someone else has had it forever, and then, you know, some other company that's decided to use the name later is like, well, we should have that now, even though we've got this shitty domain and that's all we managed to get. It's like, well,
yeah,
kind of should have come up with a different name. Yeah, it's insane. It's like some kind of reverse squatting nonsense. I just thought that was kind of an interesting one for domainers, because like a lot of them will have things in their portfolio that are super old that they bought with a lot of foresight back in the day, and there was no company and there was no trademark that they infringed on at the time, and then some other random company with etowels.com now can say, oh, I should have towels.com because, you know, my name's etowels. It's like, it's so weird. I just thought that was an interesting one for domainers. It's one they'll definitely want to keep an eye on when it gets to the courts. I mean, I'm not going to obviously comment on who's going to win. Who the hell knows the way these things get judged, but one to keep an eye on.
Well, first of all, that's complete bullshit. You know, nobody has a right to anything. If you bought it first, you own it. You know, there's nobody that can come in and say, you know, you're not using it, so you have to give it up. That's complete bullshit. But a good example of this, which just came to mind, is, and we all have to go to it right now, is go to Germany.com.
Germany.com.
Type it in. Check it out.
All right, there we go.
So if you're not looking at Germany.com, it's literally just a picture of a cat, and the caption says, "Do not disturb me. Germany.com is not for sale." And it's been like this for years upon years upon years, where obviously Germany.com is a very valuable domain name, and some guy bought it a decade or 15 years ago, and he's just not letting it go, and he's just squatting on it. So this is a great example, and I support it. He bought it. It's capitalism. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have a brick and mortar business, and there's some guy in town that has a undeveloped corner lot or something on a busy highway, and you go up to him and say, "Well, you're not using that land. I should just have that for my gas station."
Yeah.
And the guys would be like, "No, I paid such and such for this. I don't want to sell it anyways, but I don't just have to give you my land because you have a business."
Right.
It's
There's been some crazy decisions in domaining before, though. So
right.
I'm not gonna. That's why I'm not gonna preempt this one with my opinion of what's gonna happen, because there's been some insane ones, and this kind of thing just kind of annoys me about it. I think with domains, and like if you register one clearly after someone has the trademark, and you registered it in the same geographic region where the trademark's relevant, then you've got a legitimate, reason to expect that domain to be taken off you. But if you just have a domain forever before the trademark was registered, well, it's kind of difficult to argue that you should have to give the domain up. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens in this case.
As far as domaining goes, I think there's something to be said as far as the price gouging. Like, if you want this, 20-letter domain, but you're asking $10,000 for it, that's bullshit. Like, there should be some kind of regulation as far as
some of them are worth it. I mean, I know a client, an ex-client of ours, bought some hugely valuable domains in his niche, and the money spent was nothing compared to the exit value of the company when they got to exit stage. I mean, $10,000 is nothing to a company that really wants a domain particularly, and it's like any asset. I mean, like the little plot of land Garrett spoke about might suddenly become worth a lot of money after the neighborhood gentrifies. And
I mean, that's not what I'm saying.
Nothing to say.
Obviously, like with a domain like Germany.com, there's an inherent value there, where a six-figure sale would be completely justified. Like, I mean, I think the biggest domain by itself was sex.com. It's a three-letter domain. Obviously, we all know how valuable that particular topic would be, but it went for millions of dollars, and I think that's warranted. But for something like that's been sitting, that really doesn't have any inherent commercial value, you shouldn't be able to price gouge, some small mom and pop that's trying to get their company name on their domain and has to pay $5,000 for it.
Well, I mean, they should just buy something else, because if they're just a small mom and pop, then
that's
one I always keep an eye on to see if anything ever happens to it's debt.co.uk. They just have like some football debt link bait they put up when they bought it, and it got a few links, but nothing's ever happened to it now for like 5 years or something. I don't know, like a good few years anyway. I always keep an eye on that one to see what they eventually do with it.
Yeah, I actually went through this with my old financial services company that I worked for. We were called Investment Insight. So we wanted investmentinsight.com, and the guy was squatting on it. And I emailed him a few times per year trying to get it, and he just wouldn't give it to me. He kept on saying that he was going to do something with it, and I'm trying to see if he ever did. It doesn't look like he did. So I just got an alternative domain. I added like a little prefix to it, and it's fine. Like, I can deal. But there's just domainers get under my skin sometimes with those prices, as you can see. But
I think they're doing a good job. Good luck to them. I think good luck to them, really. I mean, I think it's fine. Think of a new name.
you know, some of those domainers are like multi millionaires just on trading domains. Like it's
Yeah,
almost like
that's why I'm pleased for them. Sounds like a good thing to do to me. I mean, like if you really want investment insight and you're not prepared to change your name, then you know.
Yeah.
It's so you can't get angry because you want to build your gas station there and Garrett won't sell you the land. You just have to go somewhere else. I mean,
yeah, no, it's just. But for that little plot of land, I guess it could be name your price. It just seems. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to where there's, you know, the actual value is much lower than the asking price. So that kind of doesn't seem right to me. But I don't think
the value of everything's what someone will pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that Tesla's not worth much, or you can argue that Tesla's underpriced. Not the actual vehicle itself,
the stock,
the company. Yeah, I mean,
what's it at right now?
I think they dropped just behind GM on value again. I think they're no longer the world's biggest car maker or something. But
350. We're at today.
There you go.
We're almost up 2% today. Wow.
So yeah, you know, you can argue either way on that. But if someone will pay it, like it's trading in the market at that price, so that's what it's worth, whatever we think.
I mean, well, what's the definition of price gouging? You know, holding somebody over a barrel to get, you know.
Well, I don't think like domaining in that sense is price gouging. I mean,
like the gas stations in Florida selling you a case of water for $46 or some shit just because there's a hurricane.
That's price gouging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it's a domain, like it's.
I don't know. Overall, I'm conflicted about each side of the argument, because on one side I'm like, yeah, good for them, they can do whatever they want and make their money, and other side I agree with Vin too, and I don't know where you draw the line, because
I don't think anybody should be forced to sell their domain even if they're not using it. So in the case of Germany.com and eGrandstand.com, nobody should be forced to sell anything. But if you're actively selling a domain and you simply just putting a price of $10,000 on it for a bunch of gibberish letters, you know, I think that's.
Well, that's not price gouging. That's just stupid because no one's ever going to buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are stupid, definitely. Yeah. I'll agree with you there. I mean, no one's ever going to buy that. But I mean, I think the rules are pretty clear where you can't do it. Like, you can't buy, you know, like a new domain comes out like .agency. You can't just go and buy Coca-Cola.agency and expect Coca-Cola to give you money. They can just take it off you.
Right. Well, what happened with the Dow? Was that on a TV? Oh, was that a TV show? Oh yeah, you guys ever watch The League when they bought the domain DallasCowboys.com the day after it dropped? And it was part of the TV show, and they ended up in the owner's box, and they were holding him hostage for like $2 million. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
But that's literally kind of what happens in real life.
Good old taco.
Yeah, that show was pretty funny. Actually, I enjoyed that.
Taco court.
I still don't really understand what the hell they were doing for the whole show. This fantasy football thing, you know. I was like, what?
It's just insane. It's good.
Anyway. What do we got next there, Garrett?
So I never knew this, but apparently Amazon had a patent on their one-click ordering system, which expires on the 11th, I believe. That'd be 20 years from 1997.
Yeah. Actually, I knew about this because somebody did a blog posted about it on September 11th last year.
Okay.
Telling everybody to get ready. But what do you think the value is here? I don't know. What's the potential?
Well, you can start putting one-click upsells on your site now without no matter how big you are. Because obviously, if you're just some small blog, no, they weren't going to care. But now, even if you're a big e-commerce store that wasn't doing it before because you didn't want to pay Amazon for the license, I guess now you can just go straight ahead with your one-click purchases and you're good to go.
Yeah, I don't.
Now, was the patent just on the phrase one-click, or was it literally just? I
think the patent was pretty broad. I think it was a method of allowing website users to make a purchase in one click. I think was the exact wording, or very close to that when I read about it before.
You know what? Go ahead.
This article says they estimate that Amazon generates an extra 2.4 billion in revenue because of one-click ordering. It doesn't say if that's a year or a lifetime, but
I mean, I think the software patent industry in America is an absolute joke. I think the idea of being able to patent software is insane. Like, a kid in a school could like write a shopping cart that allowed one-click ordering. It's not a novel art. It's not a discovery. It's just some code that does something.
It's the person first to first to the patent office. Lots of people might have the idea, and whoever patents it first is the winner.
You've got like Google bought Motorola mainly for the patents, to allow, to protect Android and to allow themselves to continue to build their position in mobile. Like, you've got crazy situations where, and then they dumped the actual making business off and kept the patents. The whole industry's insane because they're not really worth anything. No one discovered anything.
Right.
No one made a discovery. Amazon didn't discover one-click purchasing. It's just a thing that you can do with software that anyone can do.
If anything, I think that 2.4 billion is a testament to the power of proper user experience.
Right.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to say because I'm just weird and don't like one-click. I always want to see my shopping cart, and then I get paranoid about shipping to the wrong address all the time because I've moved so much. And then like, okay, is that on my business card if this is a business order, or is that on my personal card if I'm ordering shit for the house? It's like I just never use it, so I'm probably not a good.
I think that speaks to our age, though, buddy. I think it's just because we started, we were born without computers, and this is in our subconscious. It's all very new, and we have to be cautious.
Yeah,
I made my first one-click order since they sent me their shopping bot device.
Yeah. That's really cool that they do is they have these little buttons that they'll send to your house that are Wi-Fi enabled. So like they have one for like laundry detergent. So you code in your favorite laundry detergent to the button, you stick it to the side of your washing machine. And when you run out of laundry detergent, you just press the button. Yep. It's automatically billed to you and shipped to your house within 2 days. So, that would be something I think would be a cool patent. I don't know if that's included in this, but just the functionality of the one-click. I mean, that's just good.
Yeah, I would get hundreds of those if they didn't charge you for the first one. It's like, I'm not paying you $5 or whatever to give me something to give you more money. Like, send me the button for free and I'll use it. I'm not paying you to have a button. Like, what am I so lazy I can't get my phone out and navigate to Amazon.com and click on the detergent? Like, but if you sent me the thing for free, then I would, push it all the time. I'd have like all my different whiskies that I like on the front of my drink cabinet, and I would push to get a new one. Oh boy, I tucked into this one a bit too much tonight. Push the button. But I'm not going to give them $5 to send me it. I mean,
that'd probably be dangerous.
If you think about it, you'd want one for like everything you were ordering regularly once you got. So you'd end up spending $100 to get these buttons all over the place.
They're called Tasty Dash buttons. I'm looking. Here, I'll post a link. That's a great idea, but you're right that they got to figure something out where, eventually you're not going to have 100 buttons all over your house.
Right.
It'll just be an app, I think. It'll just be like a hot link, and you'll just click the button, and it will be a one-click order from your phone. So you'll have a page on your phone which has all of your like one-click orders on, and you just scroll to that screen and hit the button or something like that. That's something I could get behind.
I think they've gone a little too far. It's like, do you really need a button to order a bag of Doritos and then have another button for your Red Bull? And then, like, do you just open up your cupboard and they're just all taped to the inside of the cupboard? You're like, boom, boom, boom. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know, man.
Well, they sell these so cheap. I mean, because obviously it's an advertising platform for Amazon. Like, you'd be cheaper to buy a $50 tablet, tape it to the side of your fridge, and of course smart fridges are coming like that, aren't they? They're going to automatically order stuff that runs out. I mean, putting a computer on your fridge is a cheaper option than buying all those stupid buttons. Yeah. And hey, at least you got a computer for the price instead of just a button.
I just like the functionality of it, of having to think about it, not having to go to a website, and literally just going boop, and I know that I have it. I mean, we were all just talking about how busy we were, right? So as service providers, business owners, if I need staples for my desk or if I need new pens for my desk, I don't have to go to Amazon. So if I could just press a button on my wall, order pens, that's really useful
Jesus,
to me.
Ben, how old are you, man? You've got lots of pen.
Oh man, whatever it is, you know what I mean.
All right, I'm only kidding.
My
Garrett
handwriting
had
is
a
god-awful.
whiteboard and stuff still. He was full retro.
But yeah, it's interesting. Well, I'm interested to see what people come out with now with this one-click purchase idea. I'm sure there'll be some new innovation now that the patent's open.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think shouting at Alexa is the thing people do, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want one of those in my house listening to me all the time, but I think shouting at Alexa, order me some pens, is the real future of that, because that's like, it doesn't need a button, it doesn't cost anything. You just have your Alexa and shout at it, and it sends you whatever you.
You know what, man? I think that the paranoia about the Google Home and the Alexa or whatever it's called is just directed at that because it's so in your face, the privacy issues. But if you think about all the microphones we have in our house, our privacy is already gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Most of them aren't recording all the time.
Is that what your deal with Alexa is?
It has to listen. It has to listen constantly so that it activates when you give it its instruction. And the problem with it is, it's like there's been a lot of court cases where people who were innocent were in a lot of trouble in court because of weird things they'd searched for in the past, and all of that obviously was easy to access then afterwards. I'm sure a lot of people have discussions that could look bad on them if some weird, unfortunate thing happened in their life that they could then, and then the recordings available to play back in court then.
Yeah. What comes to mind is divorce court. You're getting divorced.
Oh, yeah. Imagine divorce court and they can petition your Alexa recordings to come off. Man. There's too many ways where it can go wrong. I think the only way it would be safe is if certain things were just always, inexcusable as evidence.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen. So, I mean, I'm not saying everyone who buys an Alexa is going to have it used against them in court. It's just that we already have a lot of stuff that can be used against us in court, which is irrelevant. All the funky things you type into Google on a lark, or your mate says, "Oh, Google this, it's pretty funny," and you Google it to see what's coming up, and then something happens, like you have a road accident and you were Googling for some weird thing about some driving stunt, and the other person's like, "Yeah, he was kind of weaving crazily," and then the prosecutor makes this whole case that you were trying to do some stupid stunt, and it's like, "Oh yeah, and 2 weeks ago he was Googling about this weird driving stunt, and now he's doing it." You gotta be careful, man. Keep that profile low, man. You're right to stick with pens. Smash your computer up now.
No, I'm with you, but I kind of have to keep my paranoia at bay, otherwise it'll overtake me. But I don't have any of those devices in the house, and I'm going to be completely resistant to them as long as possible. But I do think that's pretty much where society is going as far as the use of technology. Voice commands and voice stations and what have you. But,
yeah, well, when it comes to just quickly ordering something, I mean, I think shouting at Alexa is a more practical way of doing it than having loads of buttons up all over the place. Yeah. I mean, I think for a gimmick, like having a beer button on your beer fridge is pretty funny and pretty cool. But I think for like everyday stuff, it's like shouting at Alexa, I need toilet roll tomorrow and stuff. That's easier to
see. Do you have a separate beer fridge?
Sorry?
Do you have a separate fridge just for beer?
Not now. Not now. We have a child. It's the the child's food fridge now. It used to be my beer fridge.
There you go.
I just got a cool new mini fridge for the basement. Or actually,
I'm gonna be getting one of those bad boys now.
Yeah, I need what do they call it? A kegerator.
Yeah.
We're getting so our wedding's coming up in February, and I definitely registered for one of those beer fridge or kegerator.
Nice.
I have to get my use out of it before the kids start happening.
Well, yeah, exactly.
All right.
It won't be long for you, man. Wedding speed that shit up by at least 2 years.
Don't scare me, Steve. Come on, man.
Like if you weren't getting married, you'd probably have 4 years from now. But because of the wedding, I give you under. I'll take the under on 2 every time.
Yeah, the biological clocks are ticking too, so
Yeah,
gotta make that work.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. If not, you can Google it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got anything else left on the deck yet?
Yeah, so this week for the mailbag, Steve found someone at inbound.org that was asking a question about doing local SEO with home contractors. Question was, I have a client who services all of Delaware, a couple of counties in Pennsylvania, and a county in Maryland. They are based in the upper part of the state, which I would assume is Delaware. They want to show up for their keywords when someone puts in a local town in their address. Now I know that's easy to do it when it comes to it, but Now I know that's easy to do when it comes to where they're based, but I see contractors that are not in their immediate area showing up as well. Is this something to do with schema? What other techniques should I be looking into? Resources? Someone kind of answered and waffled on with some really generic and unhelpful stuff, but
well, all that shit's gonna end real soon, right? We were talking about that maybe 2 weeks ago about the Google verified tags.
yeah.
So I don't think local contractors are going to be able to get away with that much longer.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I was pretty much going to say, I think definitely the days are coming close to where you're not just showing up everywhere, even if you're having, pages for, what are some cities in Delaware? I can't even think of. Contractor in this town, roofing service in this town, drywall hanging, muddy typing. All that shit.
The geo-targeted pages.
Yeah, I think it's going to be moving away to where hopefully you'll see more relevant search results. Not if you are in Delaware, you're not seeing a contractor in Maryland. But it brings up an interesting question where if you're serving an entire state plus some parts of neighboring states, how do you adjust to that? Where you're going to have to be verified and I want to say they had a place of business. Or no, they didn't even say that.
Yeah. They have the thing where you can set your service area to be larger than just where you're based within Google My Business, can't you? I think beyond that, you're limited to the organic results, if I'm right. Is that the situation still going pretty much?
Yeah, that's true. And I guess the point I wanted to make about this person's question, when you're asking a question like this, it needs to be a little more detailed about maybe this person's just really unknowledgeable, but then they probably shouldn't have a client doing local SEO. But, you would assume that if you already got that stuff set up, you would kind of put it together that okay, you can do these geolocated pages, but those are going to be coming to an end. So there's not really a specific answer. You're kind of predicting the future, and that's what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, being ahead of the curve and figuring this out for yourself. And you can do local links from local newspaper. That's going to help you, but I don't really have a straight answer off the top of my head about what's going to be next.
I'm assuming the people that are showing up have their service area set up correctly, and this business that isn't showing up doesn't have their service area set up correctly. That would seem to be the most obvious explanation why, because you will show up outside your service area if you're the best result, and you've set your service area up correctly. It's a larger area than.
This is where the detail of the question comes apart. What if this competitor that's showing up everywhere has like 100 reviews between Yelp and all the other sites and on Google itself, and they are extremely well reviewed and they have legit reviews and they are the best contractors serving the 4-state area? Isn't it fair to say they should be showing up everywhere?
Right.
It's like...
take the example of like a national brand even. Like Mary Maids. Right?
Sure.
Mary Maids has locations all over the country, but they only service individual service areas. So I don't think Google's dumb enough to destroy companies like that and listings like that. But again, I think you just have to be a good business owner, or a good SEO, and set up your local listings properly.
Yeah.
To where it jives with a Google My Business.
Yeah, I think just don't abuse Google's rules. Keep an eye on it all the time, because local is one of the areas they have the most work to do, I think. Like it thinks I'm in the next town over all the time. Even if I put the search term in as like Chinese restaurant Leamington Spa, I got a bunch of restaurants in Warwick, which is not ideal. If I'm going to get a taxi into Leamington, I want to be able to walk from the bar to the Chinese, not like wander around, get another taxi.
What's it called? It's called like a centroid or a centoid. It's like where it's like the pin that they drop where they, determine this is the exact center of the zip code or a town. And if you're closer to that pin on the map rather than your actual town, that's how you get picked up for the next town over.
Yeah.
So, it is a little broken, but
yeah, I mean, Yelp does a better job.
Yeah.
And that's why, I guess that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I mean, Google is imposing a less good product potentially for a lot of users than the competitors they're forcibly displacing in the search results.
Yeah, and this might be a simple instance of, are your basic local SEO ABCs taken care of? Do you have all the necessary citations? Do you have some reviews across all these citation sites in Google itself? I mean, basic stuff like we talked about, a service area set up properly. Could very well be the case.
Yeah, I think you just want to chastise the guy that asked this question, man.
Gary gets really annoyed when people have clients and they don't know what they're doing. It winds it up a lot.
Yeah, so unless I'm interpreting the question wrong, it just seems you're just probably getting outcompeted. Or your competitors doing a better job. Build some.
I was going to post Garrett's answer on the
Yeah, I was just thinking that maybe.
But I don't think we should. I don't think we should do that anymore. We should move on now and forget that idea.
Yeah, but I mean, really basic. Is your NAP where it needs to be? Do you have citations? Do you need more citations? Reviews, links. Just real basic. Start with the basics, and then move on. Have you analyzed your competitors to see what they're doing differently? That they're showing up way better? You got to be really diligent.
I agree.
And maybe you've been in the case where you have had good success in local campaigns, but they were super uncompetitive, and now it's... I mean, obviously, I don't know what the contractor game... A general contractor niche in Delaware area might be super competitive, I don't know. Compared to the boonies somewhere in Minnesota up north, where there's one contractor in 2 counties that has a website even. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like that guy's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, just to give you some hope, it's easy once you get it figured out. I mean, we don't really take any clients anymore, but the last client we have from our old agency days, they show up everywhere in their state for their services.
Yeah, so, we're not doing anything special.
No. I mean, we just do the basic stuff right and keep on plugging away at promoting them. I mean, local SEO is easy. If you're having trouble there, then good luck to you if you ever get a client that's national, because you're going to really struggle there.
Yeah, when you start dealing with multiple locations and.
Oh boy!
And you have
you should not take that lead if you get it. That's my tip for this guy. Is like just close down and go become a social media consultant.
Anyways, enough riding this guy. Ben, it looks like you found something cool to review here.
Oh yeah, so my review this week is going to be a cool little, it's a cool CRM and shopping cart for digital service providers. It's called Service Provider Pro. The website is serviceproviderpro.com. And what it is, it's just it's a cool back-end system for guys, that sell links, sell content, sell SEO services, to organize their customers and organize the process for their fulfillment. and it's really hyper targeted just for our industry, rather than like a Basecamp or something from HubSpot. You know, really for people who are selling on forums, on Facebook groups, and it's got every single feature you could possibly want, from a help desk to an affiliate program built right into the platform. I was considering using it for word agents, but it's a little bit off from what we need. I might end up using it, we'll see. But I would definitely suggest it to anybody that is selling a digital marketing service or anything related to it, because it's really powerful, actually. And the support that they offer is great. I talked to the owner a few times on Skype, and he was even willing to add features that were missing that I needed at no extra cost. So I would definitely suggest that.
For
yeah,
sure.
it looks pretty slick, man.
So that's my review this week.
Cool. So Steve, you're headed down to Brighton pretty soon, and I see you would like to talk about that.
Well, yeah, I'm heading down for the second time. I went down in April, so I just thought with that on my mind for next week, I thought I'd just share some of my thoughts about heading down. It was a really good conference, actually. It's pretty much everyone in the UK SEO industry sends someone down. There's a lot of socializing away from the conference, so what you tend to find if you're a newbie down there is you'd be wise not to spend too much of your time in the actual conference floor itself. Just kind of use that as a base point to meet people and get down to the bars. There's various networking lunches that are all organized, which I didn't get in on time to get booked with last time, so get organized, pick some stuff to go to and get down, but you'll meet a lot of cool people. I mean, it kind of combines both, where we got business out of it and we met loads of cool people which we're not going to get business from, but had a lot of insights to share and some really good SEO discussions with people that actually know what they're doing, as well as getting to meet lots of the young people in the industry that were at like their first conference in their early 20s and stuff, that are going to be really cool people to know as their careers develop. So there's a good mix of opportunities there. You don't have to be on the whole time selling. You're just there to meet people, mingle, network, and they had some really good speakers mixed in last time. We had Rory Sutherland from Ogilvy, which was a pretty awesome keynote, and this time has Gary Ills from Google going to be talking. I'm told he's not the best keynote speaker, but you will see, I guess. If I catch the keynote, I'll let you guys know afterwards. But it's a good conference, good mingling, good networking. They get some big name speakers, so really can't fault them when they started with like 20 people in a room above a pub. Now it's one of the biggest SEO conferences in the world, probably.
Cool.
Nice.
This week I ordered us a new toy for when we're doing our live streaming at Ungagged. Got an MSI laptop on the way for us.
Nice.
I went with kind of like a mid-range. I don't do a whole lot of work on my laptop, and even when I'm traveling, I don't need a super powerful thing. So came in at we did it for $800. It comes with an i5, a quad-core 2.5 gig processor and 8 gigs of RAM, and has it's not onboard graphics. It actually comes with the NVIDIA GTX 1050, so everything we need to stream in 1080. I don't know. I think an i5 will be close for 1080p while we're out there, but either way, 720 is close enough for a mobile stream, I think. And it has a 256 gig solid state drive, so I think it's for a personal gaming computer what it's meant for. I think price point's fine. Obviously, for people that are on the road a lot working, you probably want to spend the money on something like a Lenovo, like Vin just bought recently. They're going to be built a little more tougher and used to bouncing around in your briefcase and that kind of shit. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Compared to what I have now, I have an 8-year-old Toshiba with a Centrino dual core, and I think 2 gigs of RAM.
Have you used the MSI, any kind of MSI stuff yet, or this is the first time?
This is the first machine. Right now on this new desktop I just built, I'm running one of their motherboards and a graphics card from them.
Yeah.
But I think actually the reason I got this, I told Steve I found them, and he I think you said you owned an MSI product a while back.
Yeah, I do. Little netbook. It was really solid. It was Windows XP at the time. I put Linux on it. It ran, one of the old Atom processors, but it was a decent little box. Had that.
Yeah.
Used that on the road for a good few years because it was so light. You could get an upgraded battery pack for it that lasted 8 hours, which at the time was unheard of. I mean, that was insane. Back then nothing lasted. It was before this latest round of Atom chips that last forever on the battery life. So it was a really cool little device. So yeah, I was really pleased with it.
I gotta check them out. I was reading really good reviews when I bought the Lenovo, but I went with the Lenovo because it was more of a brand name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
the only thing bad I have to say about MSI so far is their support. They're a Russian-owned company, and their support is in Russia. And I think on the first episode, I told you guys about how I couldn't get this desktop to post because the BIOS was outdated and it wasn't ready for guys. And hopefully, like an off-the-shelf laptop shouldn't have any problems. But their support is in Russia. Very hard for me to understand them, and I did a little more digging into it before we ordered this, and I guess their support staff is relatively untrained.
Wait, they don't have an American call center?
No, it's all in Russia. And like
That's
that
great.
huge problem I had with getting my computer to post,
Yeah.
should have been relatively simple for them to say, like, yeah, these motherboards went out with an outdated version of BIOS and they weren't ready for the new Ryzen processors. That should have been like a 5-minute phone call, not me screwing around for 8 hours. But I guess it's just a common thing from the engineering department into the support staff. But with something like this, it should be simple, like, oh, the laptop doesn't turn on. Okay, here's an RMA. Yeah.
That's a relatively small problem because it is a great price that you got that laptop.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, mine's still not broken. It's just too old and slow.
Yeah.
Like it runs Linux fine still, but it's just too old to want
Sure.
to do too much on. But still hasn't broken, so I guess they make okay stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Garrett will find the same with his new self-build PC.
I can't wait to jump on it and type in all kinds of crazy Google searches for your search history.
Oh yeah, you've got to obfuscate it by trying to search for just every 2 minutes type something crazy into Google. Like every article word.
So you're saying I better wipe the hard drive before I go out
Yeah. You gotta be looking over your shoulder, Gary, because I'm jumping on the computer as soon as you look away.
All right. Well, that just leaves us with the don't tweet this section of the podcast this week. All I really have to say is for entrepreneurs, SEOs in general, if you've gone out on your own and started your own agency, you're obviously going to be grinding to get new business. And it's not going to be easy at first to get business coming in on its own. But, after hitting up Facebook groups, for me, for like the last year, just got to be persistent and patient and plan. And you'll be successful. You do good work, people will start coming to you on your own, like we're starting to see for the link building service, and kind of more of a general business tip, not an SEO tip, but
So valuable.
yeah.
What do you got, Steve?
Yeah, it's on similar lines actually. I was I saw a post on LinkedIn that I liked by a chap called Ross Simmons, who's an entrepreneur and digital marketing strategist and speaker, and he was just talking about how B2B clients of his have laughed at him when he's talked about Reddit, but actually some of these smaller platforms like Reddit have micro communities that are really specific to their niches. So like you want to target CTOs, there's our technology where you could build a reputation and a name. And I just wanted to say, I couldn't agree with him more, because all of our business comes from, micro niche communities like that. We're in dozens of them, like Garrett was just saying, all over Facebook, all over Slack, forums all over the place. My direct connections on LinkedIn themselves are a small community of people that I interact with and talk to. That's where, all of our business comes from. Well, not all. I mean, we get a little bit from Facebook ads. We spend a few hundy there just to keep some extra ticking in. But when we started, we were going the opposite way. We were trying big. It's like, let's spend on Twitter ads, let's spend on Facebook ads, let's go where all the big people are. and it's just a bigger cost. It's harder work. You don't really get to meet anyone first. They don't get to meet you before, unless you spend a fortune getting content in front of people. They don't get to meet you or get to know you first. Whereas if you're in a small community of 200 or 300 active people, or you get a big reputation in a very specific small community like this chap's talking about on Reddit, everyone knows you when they have a question.
Right.
And they know who they trust in that community, and you can build that trust in a small community. I mean, good luck becoming the next Gary Vaynerchuk or something, where you're trusted on YouTube for entrepreneurship or something, or you're the next Tai Lopez, where you're somehow trusted despite renting a Lamborghini allegedly. Good luck achieving that. If you've got that kind of charisma and personality where you can become huge on those platforms, go and do it, because then you'll have a $500 million agency instead of others who don't have $500 million agencies just yet. But if you're just looking to grow, it's much easier to target those small communities. So that's my tip really for everyone, is to get active in smaller communities where you can be, a big fish in a small pond and people actually know who you are, rather than trying to spend a fortune to become something you're going to really struggle to do on Facebook or something.
Yeah, that's exactly how I grew Word Agents, and I think the key there is to really provide value to those communities. You can't just chat it up and then expect trust to be there. Right. You gotta
like the people at Brighton. It's like the people at Brighton SEO who were there last time at the pre-party, and we're all just trying to have a chat and a drink. And there's this guy going around with his two female members of staff dressed, ridiculously to be at a casual networking event at a conference, and they would come over and interrupt your conversation, and then as soon as they'd kind of made a space, and he'd pounce in between the two of them, dish out his business cards and deliver his 2-minute sales pitch, and then they moved on to the next group, and everyone was laughing at their ridiculous routine.
That's amazing.
If that's you in your small communities online, people are probably like, "Oh man, this guy just jumps on every thread and pitches." Yeah. No one wants that,
You gotta give something that's real, that people are gonna go back to, and they're gonna want to read it again or use it again, or even bookmark it. Provide lots of value anyway.
Or just talk to people. I mean, Garrett's straight up hilarious in all the groups he's in. I don't know what kind of value he's bringing other than comedy to some of them. But people know who he is and they enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy his content, and I'm not even in the groups with him. He shares some of the screenshots, and we'll have to share some of those actually. We'll have a maybe in Vegas when we're doing the live show. We'll have a kind of we'll do a live. Garrett does some Facebook networking comedy session with a few old fashions. We'll do a live stream.
We have to have a hashtag. What Garrett said.
Yeah.
But
I think live in Vegas is when we should do that kind of thing. You guys have to wait. You have to watch the show live though. The Vegas show, there'll only be there's going to be hours of footage of us in Vegas doing crazy. You're going to get a 1-hour highlights where we just try and tell you the stuff that looks really clean. If you want to enjoy the Garrett's live Facebook stuff's definitely not making the edited YouTube show. So just telling you now, you can watch live.
Yeah.
All right.
I better.
So I got. What do I got for my don't tweet this? All right. Oh yeah, this is for more SEO arbitrage and affiliate guys. So many people think that once their site gets de-indexed or penalized, that the site's done. It's not done. You have two other gigantic search engines called Bing and Yahoo that haven't de-indexed your site or penalized your site. So I know too many people just abandon projects that they work on for a year or more because they have a penalty or their site got de-indexed for whatever reason. You can have an entire second life on that site for the foreseeable future if you figure out how to optimize and rank on Google and Bing. And I actually do have a site that was penalized back in 2013, and it pulls traffic from Bing. And I make probably at least $1,000 a month, I would say, just from Bing and Yahoo traffic, and it's nowhere to be found on Google. So don't short yourself if you get de-indexed or penalized for whatever crazy thing you're doing, because you can still make money.
That's actually a good don't tweet list. I like it. That's the winner so far, I think, over the first few episodes. That's pretty cool. $1,000 a month from a penalized site from Bing.
There you go.
Yeah.
If Google's lawyers want to call you to as proof they don't have a monopoly, are they allowed to?
Yeah.
Yeah, the traffic is shit too. Like I think the traffic is awful. But the people that land on the certain pages, it just converts. So the traffic trickles in from the other search engines, but why not? I'm not going to abandon the site. I don't really add anything to it, but as long as I can rank it.
Excellent.
Well, all right, that should wrap up episode number 6 of SEO Unmasked. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, share, tell your friends, get your mom watching, whatever you got to do. You guys have anything to add quick?
No,
I'm good, boys.
All right,
All good.
catch you next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, same place.
Take care, everybody.